Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits, brought to you by Seagar High Performance Braids, as well as 7 Reels, 7 seas, 7 continents, 7 days a week, 7 decades in the making, built by anglers for anglers, 7 Reels. In this episode, we're going to go talk to my good friend, Captain Lance Valentine up in Michigan. Guy has got some forums, puts out fishing knowledge like crazy. We're going to talk about the Walleye Zone, the fish forum, the app, the information hub that he has, Detroit River fishing, Saginaw Bay fishing, you name it, and just a whole bunch of general fishy heads talking about fishy walleye stuff. He's a good one. Lance has got a lot of info, and we're going to put some links down here below on where you can go follow Lance and the Walleye Zone and the Fishing and the Walleye 101 and all these platforms he's at and all the shows he's got going all over the place. So you can learn a whole lot more about walleye behavior, walleye fishing, walleye tactics. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the country or what type of body of water you're fishing. There is information that Lance puts out there to help you catch more fish. So stay tuned as we go visit with Captain Lance Valentine. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. Today I'm going to go over and visit my good friend Captain Lance Valentine from the upper UP, Detroit, Michigan area. The man knows a whole hell of a lot about walleye and has been out there educating walleye anglers for years and years. And we're just going to dive in deep with Lance and let him kind of explain what he's got going on in the walleye world and how you can find him and follow along in his walleye education journey here. So what's happening, my good buddy?
Not much. We are in the middle of show season over here in Michigan, so we're kind of wrapped up our big show in Detroit a couple weeks ago, and now we're kind of into our nonstop 6-7 week journey here. And then, man, once that's where we get ready to go to Detroit River, we'll spend 2 months down Detroit River guiding every day. But we're in the middle of the crappiest time of year, right? 28 days in February, but it seems like it lasts for 90. The weather's always crappy. We finally got our snow and our cold weather, and I'm not happy about that. But yeah, luckily I'm on the road getting to talk to a bunch of people about fishing, so that always makes it a little easier for the time to pass. But just getting ready for springtime, man. Just like everybody else right now, just kind of got work to do to get to springtime, but can't wait to get there.
Cabin fever's, it's settling in, and Punxsutawney Phil is correct. We are going to have 6 more weeks of winter because it is brutal out there right now. I think we're hitting a lot of record lows through this whole kind of the Great Plains and upper Midwest portion of. But it does look like a good break coming into winter here at the end of the month, and it's the final push. I'm waiting on my new boat to show up. You got there's a plethora. There's a boat show every weekend somewhere. Or sports show that everybody's going to, and I highly recommend everybody goes to these shows, get out, talk fishing, look at the deals that are out there to get your trips booked. I've had quite a few bookings coming myself for the last few weeks. So, it always, as soon as it warms up for like a day, the phones and emails start popping. Yeah. So it's good. I think it could be a good year. I don't know. We're going to see what the economy does, but I don't know. I think it's promising, but we got a lot of ice on the river here. I'm sure you got plenty up there. It needs to go away, and it can't go away fast enough.
Yeah, and now we got a lot of snow, and that obviously the snow cover keeps that ice a little longer. It doesn't make it great for fishing, but it definitely insulates it and keeps it a little longer. But it does. The ice cover, snow cover definitely affects how fish from Lake Erie come into Detroit River. So that whole thing kind of changes. So we're kind of normal here. So we'll kind of see how that affects it. But there's definitely a correlation between timing and quality of fishing on Detroit River versus snow and ice cover. So you never know, right? We're basically 6 weeks away, let's call it, from ice out here, and a lot can happen in that 6-7 weeks. So who the heck knows what's going to happen?
a lot can and a lot will, most likely. So it's just the nature of the beast. It's part of our business. We're so dependent, restricted about the weather, and weather dictate fish more than anything.
Yeah, we don't have a closed season here on the Great Lakes, right? So, those, I keep my boat in a slip in Detroit, and there's years I've been able to get my boat in first, second week in March. There's years I've had to wait, until the middle of April, and so you book trips, late March, you're kind of like, I hope, and then we get a cold spell like this, you're like, oh, because I don't have any place to put anybody, and it's frustrating, but like you said, part of the job, and I don't think anybody depends on weather any more than us and farmers are really the only ones that weather affects as adversely as it does fishing guides. So, but once that little spring thing is over and we get rolling, we roll here until middle of December. So we just got to get that first little kickoff, that little start, and we're ready to go.
It won't be. It'll be here soon. It does suck, but it is coming soon. And in the meantime, people are sitting at home. They're freezing their butts off. They're watching bass fishing on TV. They're waiting for the classic. That's why. I know it's always tax time because I'll sit down and put everything on the table. And for a couple days, the whole weekend of the Bassmaster Classic, it's like, all right, I'm doing taxes. I'm dreading the classic coming up into March. Hopefully they're done well before then this time. But thank God with the use of QuickBooks nowadays and running everything through it a little more organized when it comes tax time. But people, you got a ton of things going on, and there's resources out there. There's place for people to go have these fishing talks and learn all this stuff in front of their computer and amongst their peers before they go get a line wet. Let's dive into some of that and tell everybody kind of what you got going on there.
A little bit about some high performance products that I use, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love it too. It's the Seagar Smackdown braid. There's three things about this thin diameter braid that I just absolutely love. One, it's tough as nails. Two, longest casting, smoothest braid I've ever used. The 8-strand braid, tubular form, just comes off those reels, super smooth, long cast. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's awesome. And three, it's super sensitive. No matter what kind of lure or jig I'm throwing out there, I can tell. I've grass, weeds, rocks, sand bottom. I can feel it all right through there into my rod. The stuff is extremely sensitive. So Smackdown comes in two colors, high vis and stealth gray. Get yourself some of this stuff, and you're gonna get yourself some more of these. Check them out at seagar.com.
Good. All right. So not too long ago, we started a new platform called the Walleye Zone, and we got tired of social media, right? Everybody that's a fisherman has posted a fishing picture, and never either don't keep that fish, or I caught a bigger one, or what, right? So we got tired of what we call the noise, right? There's so much noise on social media. So one of the guys I work with found this place. It's called a community, and it's basically it combines the best of social media. It combines the best of a place like Vimeo where you can store video. It allows you to do live events, live rooms, live streaming seminars, store all of our previous seminars in an archive that guys can go get all in one place. So before we had people going different places to get different things, and now we've got this community. There's a place there called Open Discussion. It's just like Facebook. You can interact with all the other anglers there. We have all of our seminars, all of our blogs. We do live stuff every week. We do our member stuff. We have a membership club that we do hardcore stuff for them every month. That's all accessed through here, and we've got a ton of free stuff. I mean, I think last time I looked between blogs, articles, mini seminars, and what we call courses that are a little bit longer, I think there's like 400 pieces of content there. So there's a lot of stuff to watch. Guys can get there. It's thewalleyezone.com. And all we ask for is your email address, questions about fishing, get you on, get free access. And there's so much stuff there to bop around on and see. So it's been really, really popular. We're bringing guys on slowly. We have to, unlike Facebook, we can just like a page. We have to physically touch everybody that comes in so we can tag them, figure out where they're from, kind of what kind of fishing they like to do, what they would like to do. So now we have this ability to target you with, hey, you say, hey, I want to learn how to fish Detroit River better. So next time we do a Detroit River event or a seminar or a blog, we let you know right away that there's more Detroit River stuff. So we have to touch everybody that comes in. So we're slowly building. We're trying to build about 30 to 40 people per week. That's enough for us to touch and get dialed in. So we're slowly dialing in how this works. We're really excited about the capabilities of what this can do. Not having to worry about advertising on Facebook, not have to worry about, you know how that is, right? Some of the limits
Oh, yeah.
have when you're on social media. We don't have any of that. We have complete control over what we do, complete control over our guys. Nobody has access to any of their data. So yeah, we're pretty excited. About it. We kicked off right after Thanksgiving with kind of a soft launch and getting ready for a hard launch here, probably April 1st. So yeah, guys, love to come over and see us. It's called thewalleyezone.com. And again, I'll ask your email address, ask you a few fishing questions. You're in and ready to go. And this time of year, there's nothing better to do than troll around and walleye stuff. We got a ton of content there. Love to have guys set over there.
Yeah, this is hands down the best time of year to be diving in and just absorbing. So there's never, you should never stop learning in this fishing world.
Correct.
There's so much. A Lindy rig's a Lindy rig, right? There's this much. A jig is a jig type thing, but there's always a new one. There's a new way to present it. There's a new way to tie it. There's a new whatever the case is. And then there's always new anglers where angling is growing. So there's new people coming in. So when you think you're being redundant and being like, I've given this seminar 100 times, there's 90 different people listening this time, right? That are new that people forget about. And so you always kind of say, well, talk to kind of the lowest level. It's okay. Because most likely there's something new. And I can go to your seminar. I said this to, many anglers and like Scarless years ago. I'm like, I go to as many seminars as I personally can. And I said, I can guarantee you, whether I'm listening to a Lance or back in the day, a Scarless or a Johnny Candle, I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to pick up. And it's just, if it's just one thing,
the whole thing,
and maybe that one thing that made you go from 104th place to first place. And that's $100,000 difference sometimes. So it's probably worth my time, right? And it's just you're around like-minded and good people. So,
Yeah, I think the hardest thing, I say this a lot to guys like you that are in the education business, right? We're communicating with anglers. The hardest thing to do is to get somebody, right? So if someone hops on the Walleye Zone and goes, he fishes Detroit River, he fishes Saginaw Bay, whatever. Okay, well, the things I do in Detroit River apply any place through vertical jigging in current. I don't care if it's the Mississippi River or the Missouri River or the Keokuk River. I don't care. Everything that we do in Detroit applies somehow to any time you're vertical jigging in heavy current. The way we troll in Saginaw Bay applies anywhere you're fishing those same. One of the things I learned as a tournament angler traveling all over the country is a walleye is a walleye is a walleye. If I know how to catch them here in my reservoir that's 10 minutes from my house, I got a reservoir here that's 40 feet deep at the dam, a lot of flooded timber, a lot of shallow cover, a lot of rocks. If I see that same situation in Kansas, the fish has to act exactly the same. So the knowledge I have here transfers wherever. I don't have to be doing a seminar on your lake about your county, about the spot you fish. If my spot that I fish is the same, has the same characteristics, the information we're giving you is exactly the same. So don't get caught up just, this guy doesn't fish where I fish. Yeah, I do. It's just called something different and located differently, but I fish the same place you do. And that's one of the things I think was important for me to learn when I started watching a lot of seminars is, I can hear you talk about fishing the Mississippi River and I can apply something there to what I do in Detroit. I think that's the big thing that guys miss is they want everything specific to where they are instead of learning the process and understanding the details. And it doesn't matter where you learn those details from. You can bring it back to your lake and catch more fish.
Fish the patterns, not the fish.
Fish the patterns. There you go.
Yep, because they're usually able to mimic them, not just throughout that fishery, but throughout the country.
Everywhere. Yep.
Seasonal migrations, weather temps and water temps are different, but the transition of spawning to post-spawn, pre-spawn to spawn to post-spawn to fall, it's still happening. It just happens at different times, but theoretically, it's usually in the same locations.
That's the thing. The spots they like. We're doing a Detroit River school here at a show right this weekend, 4 hours on covering the Detroit River. We talk about migration routes up and down the river and how those migration routes change from pre-spawn to spawn and then from spawn to post-spawn, right? How the edges are different and how flats become more relevant at post-spawn. And so all those little things. And those things apply. I don't care if you're fishing a river you can jump across. Those same things apply at the same time, that same post-spawn transition. Fish come off these real steep edges and get a little more gradual edges. They have a tendency to move to the top of edges as opposed to the bottom of edges. All that happens no matter where you fish. And it's getting guys to understand that what you learn here can be applied over here. That's a hard thing to do because everybody looks at everybody as regional, and that's not what you need to do. Good fishermen are good fishermen. If you understand what they're teaching you, there's a lot you can take to your body of water and catch more fish.
Yeah, and the learning curve has obviously changed drastically for new anglers coming into it, which isn't a bad thing. It just makes them making people better anglers quicker because of the Walleye Zone or the the Walleye 101 schools, the stuff you've been doing for years, these podcasts, the YouTube, the live stream of tournaments, forward facing sonar. Right, there's all these things that have evolved that have made people learn quicker, but also part of that is they haven't learned a lot of the fundamentals. Right, they went straight to catching versus hunting. Really,
yes, yeah. Understanding that process, and I this is actually my 30th year of doing fishing education. This is actually year 30 for me. And one of the things I did when I started is I wanted to find a platform or a skeleton, if you will, that I could put everything into. Right, where does everything fit? And you go back to the old fishing, right? F plus L plus P equals S. Right, you understand the fish's nature. That leads you to the location. The location leads you to the right presentation, and then obviously you add all those up success. So we took a little bit further, and we created what we call the 8 steps. And the 8 steps are be in the right location, know the depth of the fish, get your lure to the right depth, then get the right lure speed, lure size, lure shape, lure action, lure color. And if you work down that process in order, you're going to catch fish, right? The right color is irrelevant. There's no fish to see it.
Yep.
The right size lure doesn't matter if it's the wrong depth, right? So we set those 8 steps up when we first started, and everything we teach slides into that. So when you see something on the water or your pre-trip planning or you watch a tournament, it should fit somewhere. You can go, that's where I need to pay attention to that piece of the puzzle. And to this day, 30 years later, I just did an event over in Rochester, New York. We're still teaching the 8 steps to guys who fished for 30 years because they don't understand the process. The process, right? And if you understand the process, you can take any set of conditions on any body of water, anywhere you fish, and get on some fish fairly quickly. So guys want to get to the fishing part way, way, way too early in their career, too early in their day, too early in a week-long preparation for a tournament. You got to be in the right spot, and you've got to find fish that we call them catchable fish that want to bite. You can find all the fish you want, but they don't want to bite. And there's ways you can tell catchable fish from non-catchable fish. So I enjoy teaching that process a lot more than I say, hey, me and Joe, we're not fishing. We use a blue Rapala over the weeds. I mean, what do you learn, right? You don't learn anything. So we always focus on the process. Everything we teach is kind of with that in mind. And I think it makes a difference on how quality. And you look at, you hit it right on the head. And these guys have so much information now they can get catching quickly, but they don't know why.
Yep.
If you can't tell me why you're catching fish there, why you caught fish there today, and tomorrow they're 50 yards away, if you can't understand why, wind, waves, current, whatever, if you can't understand that switch, then you're not an angler, you're someone who goes fishing. And there's a big difference. You have to understand those whys. The equipment we have today helps us catch more fish, but it should also help us understand those whys a whole lot better.
They are 1 second or one element away from not catching anything at all because they don't know the why. Correct. Wind change, light change, whatever it may be, electronics shorted out. And then they just go, now what? If I knew why I was catching them, why they were here, I can mimic this anywhere on this body of water, possibly. MLF was a good example of there. There's been some format changes this season in the bass world with forward-facing sonar, what's allowed and what's not. And I mean, and it's really showed that first tournament when the guys used it, they were putting 80 pounds, up, and then without it, they had 20-some pounds, but then it's come from the Harris Chain Lakes where it was shallow water, Florida fishing, and guys were like, I don't need it. And then theoretically they didn't need it. But an angler on the final day was very conscious and just self-aware of what was going on around him and went, look at all these birds. Fishing spot, he had hit 0. He's in the final cut, so he's happy. I'm good. I made it. I'm going to go fishing today, have some fun. If I catch him, I catch him. If I don't, I don't. I'm already getting a check. I'm glad to be here. I'm going to get good points. Rolls out, and the guy ended up finishing like maybe 3rd or 4th or something like that. But just saw birds dive bombing and it was like kind of marked it, drove around to get a little bit of idle time to kind of go check things out, and then came back out before lines in and just put a clinic on for the first hour and caught more fish than anybody and was leading it. And he was just like, I mean, every cast, and he's just going through them and he's like, I saw the birds. Okay. Cause it tells me there's bait. I know that when this has happened, I know rattle trap's a hell of a good bait to use because I can fish it at any depth I want and any speed. I'm gonna follow it with a chatterbait or a minnow type style bait and just keep mixing it up. And a lot of times that bite only lasts for a few minutes. So this lasted for the whole period for him. But then he continued to not catch fish for like 3 hours after that. And he had to go. But it wasn't a surprise to him. He capitalized on the opportunity, knew exactly why he was catching them. But
it's
that was that.
frustrating to see good anglers. I MC the Michigan Walleye Tour, and we got a great group of anglers here in Michigan that fish at circuit. And we had a tournament last year up in Alpena, fishing the Great Lakes, and very, very migratory fish, deep water. And these guys are live scoping, and look, that's a whole other discussion for another day. But they're using forward facing sonar, and they're catching them. And they put a pretty good herd on the first day, and they come back the second day, and conditions change from day one to day two. Now, I have been fishing up there for 50 years. Well, not quite 50, 45 years. So when I went to bed that night, I woke up the next morning, I'm like, uh-oh, we got a problem, right? Here's what's gonna happen. So I'm talking to the crew before time, like, we're gonna see some changes today because this is gonna happen. Well, these guys came in. Now, they did catch their fish second day. They didn't win, but they did catch another nice catch of fish. So I asked him, I goes, hey, how long did it take you to realize what happened overnight and the change? He goes, we didn't do it. All we did, we went back to where we were catching them. We put the forward facing down. We looked, we couldn't find them. We drove around for 4 hours till we found them. Whereas if you understand what those changes were, they would have been on fish instantly, right? They would have understand what that weather change did, where it repositioned those fish. Then they could have went there and caught them instead of just driving around looking for them. And it instantly put in my head, I'm like, man, you guys are catchers. You're not fishermen, right? There's a difference, right, between having those skills and just counting on electronics. And that's where, it's kind of frustrating for me. I would like more people to step back and learn the skills, because if you do, and now you combine it with what we have electronics wise, holy moly, right? Fishing's going to become a lot easier. But I think sometimes we forget, we just forget how important those foundational things are to learn, and we have to go back and learn those things. No matter how long we've been fishing, right? You learn something at the end of every year. I'm sure you've got a list of things. I never thought that would happen, or there's something I've never seen before. Guys, I would just like them to just concentrate more on the process and then apply everything we've got now. I think they'd be a lot better anglers, more consistently and faster. Get on fish a lot quicker. Yeah,
you're going to be able to break down a new body of water faster. You're not going to be intimidated by going somewhere you haven't been. The guys all fishing top levels are they know all the fundamentals and they're doing it and they're catching them. You can unplug all their electronics. They're going to go out and catch fish. But that's not everybody. And you talk about the 8 steps, and it sounded like, I think you rattled off color was the last. Yep. Which I couldn't agree more. But the first thing people ask is, as a guide, is when you get in the boat is, what color? What color? I'm like, don't worry about it. Yeah. You know what color, I know what color, because we've been doing it every day, but I'm like, well, this was yesterday, but today I have this type of water or light conditions. We're going to switch it up, or this, is typically a good color on this body of water, which may not mean nothing to the other one. But I'm like, none of this matters unless there's fish to be caught. So first and foremost, if there's no fish there, it doesn't matter.
Nothing matters until, right? I did up in Rochester, New York. We did our sonar interpretation seminar, and I have a slide from the Detroit River. And one of the things I do a lot in Detroit is I drive a lot, right? I don't necessarily, very rarely do I stop and fish unless I see fish. Side scan is my number one tool there, right?
Yep, me too.
200 feet around, right? So I show this slide where I'm driving up the river, and I've got 3 fish on the right side of my screen. They're all lined up. I got 3 fish. And true story. And it goes right back to what you said. So I looked at it, and I slide over there, put a waypoint above those fish. I slide over there. We go through there. Literally in one pass, I got myself and 4 customers. We catch all 3 fish. Pop, pop, pop. Okay. Well, all of a sudden, everybody starts to slide over. I start up my motor and I take off. Well, an hour later, the guy comes up to me and goes, hey, he says, what were you doing down there? What do you mean? He goes, well, I saw you catch 3 fish. He goes, we were over there for an hour, couldn't catch you. Said, there was only 3 over there. There were literally 3 fish on the side scan. We went and caught them all. And like, what's the point of staying? But his first thing when he comes up and goes, hey, he goes, what were you guys using down there? He said, I couldn't get those fish. I'm like, there were no fish to get to go. We took them with us. We took those. We took them with us. So I don't care what you have. I don't care what you put down there. There was nothing there to catch. And you can kind of see them kind of looking like, what do you mean? Like, you can't catch them if they're not there. And we do that a lot. We move a lot on Detroit River. We may fish 20, 30 spots in the morning to get our 24 fish. And, it's pick one here, pick one there, it's pick two here, pick one there. Here's a pod that doesn't want to bite. And if I go through a pod once, they don't want to bite, I'm gone. Because springtime, Detroit River, there's fish that want to bite somewhere. I don't have time. I don't have time to mess around with fish that don't want to bite. So it's kind of funny to see people instantly, the minute you catch fish, first thing they ask is, what are you using, right? And that has nothing to do with it. They don't ask, how aggressive are you jigging? What size bite are you using? Are you leaving the jig on the bottom? They don't ask any of the things that are important. They want to know, what are you using? Which is great if you're selling stuff and they go buy crap you don't need, but it doesn't do anything to help you catch any more fish.
I'm using a Lance Valentine jig with one of my plastics, and here's the link to go get them, folks.
See, there you go.
By the way, I'm just dragging it on the bottom. I'm just dragging it on the bottom. Maybe you need to leave in the rod holder today. I don't know, but
whatever, right?
Those are the more important things sometimes.
They just, and it's frustrating. Again, that's that process, right? Am I in the right spot? Are there fish here? Is my lure? Basically, it comes down to two things. If you put the wrong lure, the wrong speed, the wrong size, the wrong shape, the wrong action, the wrong call, you do everything wrong presentation-wise, but you put it in front of a fish that wants to bite, they'll bite. Especially if they're grouped together. If you got 10, 12 fish together, one will bite it, so the other 10 don't get it. Right? I don't care why they're on the hook, just get on the hook, right? And conversely, you can do everything, you can do everything right with presentation. You got the right speed for today, the right lure, the right size, right shape, right action, the right color. You don't get it in the right spot, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. You're better off to be a really bad fisherman with a completely wrong lure in the right place than you are to be a great fisherman with the perfect lure for today in the wrong place. And guys don't spend their time worrying about where. They're too quick to worry about the what.
And Takasaki used to always say this to me. We traveled together for years. They're always biting somewhere. There's a fish somewhere on the system biting. We're just not on that one right now. So let's keep moving. And I'm like, I agree. Somebody's eating always somewhere.
Oh, somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And then, back to that, the other thing I see a lot of guys do, let's kind of continue here, is I'll see a guy fish maybe a 20-foot flat on Detroit River, and he'll fish one of the best flats on the river. He'll fish at 20 feet, won't catch anything. He'll move upriver 2 miles and fish another 20-foot flat. I'm like, dude, the fish just told you they're not on 20-foot flats. Don't go fish 4 more, right? How many docks do you have to flip until you realize there's no fish on the docks, right? It shouldn't take you long to start to eliminate big pieces of water. And that's what I learned my PWT days. That's what I learned from the guys that are really good in pre-fishing, is they were able to eliminate a lot of water really fast and get to the right types of water and then start breaking that down. So, if you're trolling 18 feet of water and you troll for an hour, I get this all the time. I'd say you're out there with 15 guys trolling for an hour, never marked a fish. I'm like, well, that's 55 minutes too long. You didn't mark a fish in an hour, right? You're there 55 minutes way too long. So I don't understand why people think they can catch them where they're not, right? I don't care how good you are. You got to be where the fish are.
Fishermen are their worst enemy. It's the memories. It's I fished 55 minutes out here, or trolled all these passes, and I didn't mark a fish. For one, a lure doesn't hit the water if I don't mark a fish. So you got to trust those electronics. And they're pretty much take them out of the box, turn them on. They're pretty well dialed in.
Pretty good. Yeah.
It's kind of hard not to get it. A lot of people don't understand what what they're reading, but here you are. Go to the Walleye Zone, go to these forums, go on YouTube. The information is there for you to become an absolute guru of this stuff before you get out there and just eliminate time. Yes, there's times where you got to fish to find the fish because they're so shallow, but I'm with you. Side images, get rid of my 2D, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
I can graph fish in 2 feet of water on my side image. They're not underneath the boat, but they're out there.
Give me, give me where I fish. Give me side imaging and give me GPS, and I'll be all right. Right? The Detroit River is a great example. Saginaw Bay is pretty much this way too, but fish will get on very distinct lines. They'll get on very, very distinct lines. And if you miss it by a boat width, you're not going to catch it. They will get on very distinct lines, usually associated with a bottom composition change, right? We get that a lot on Saginaw Bay. We'll get fish suspended 10 feet down over 30 feet of water over hard bottom, soft bottom transitions. So, that GPS is, I to this day save a waypoint every time I catch a fish. And you start to see these lines start to develop, and you start to see that today these fish have slid out a little bit. Now you take that, you put it on top of mapping and go, oh, these fish are on steep drop-offs today. Well, now you just eliminate a whole bunch of river or lake that isn't a steep drop-off, and you go, okay, now they're 20 to 25 feet of water. Okay, now I just limited a whole bunch of water. Now I got 32 miles Detroit River, 32 miles, let's say by a mile wide. I've got 32 miles of river to fish. I just broke it down to about 30 stretches that are 100, 150 yards long. I'm going to catch more fish than you because I'm always fishing where the fish are. And one of the things I know, I talk to a lot of guys. I'm a big talker. You know that. And Detroit River, most days, from the top of the river to the bottom. So Lake St. Clair comes in at the top. It makes a 45-degree angle at the Ambassador Bridge about halfway down the river, and then empties out into Lake Erie. I talk to 10 or 15 charter captains after every trip. If it was 20, 25 feet of water where I was in the middle of the river, it was almost always 20, 25 feet of water at the top, and the best fishing was 20, 25 feet water at the bottom. Once you figure out, and I don't know if that's sunlight penetration, I don't know what that is, but man, if I can hear 3 or 4 people tell me, hey, we're killing them in 24, we're killing them in 24, why am I fishing at 8? Right? Yep. So getting information and understanding what you're actually seeing is a big part of that process of thinking properly on the water. And I think the biggest thing for me that I learned, again, I learned this tournament fishing, was eliminating big gobs of water just by fishing one spot. I think that's huge because that just makes everything smaller. And the faster I can get to the good spots, the more fish I catch.
Pay attention to the little things, but pay attention. And I kind of pride this myself on this in tournaments, and is your surroundings. What's going on around you, right? Detroit River, a lot of boats, community holes, and people are rolling in there. They put in and they go straight there. There's 20, 30 boats. There's no better indication of people of a good bite or not than 0 nets popping up.
Bingo.
Like, okay, where's everybody at? I'm like, yeah, this is where everybody's at that's not catching fish. So it's very simple. That's where side image, and I see it all the time, and I get it if you don't know where you're going, you've never been there, you're going to be like, all right, there's a couple, 3 guys, I'm going to roll over there and just kind of start, and maybe they're on them, they're not, and I have that happen as a guide, and you know how it is, you get followed around, and I'll see a big pod of people, and I'm like, oh, they're from Iowa, they're not local, they don't know, and I'll drive by and I'll decide, I'm like, maybe they stumbled into something, but I'll side scan and be like, there's not a single thing there. There was a boat there early in the morning, which turned into another boat and another boat. And I'm like, there's 4 guys who aren't going to catch fish all day long, until they recognize it. And then they all pull up, start following you wherever you're going. But I'm like, you got to pay attention to what's going on around you. And then don't forget those fish move, right? It's 24, 25 feet. You're on them, you're jigging them. And now that sun is going down or whatever the case is. And also the bite's slowing down. It's getting slower and slower and slower. Those fish lit up, right? That now they're in 18 feet or whatever the case is. Just be cognizant of, man, we were crushing these fish and now we're not. They didn't just, all of them just disappear. You didn't catch them all. Sometimes you did. When you went over 3 fish, you made a pass, you caught 3 fish, and that was that. But, it's paying attention. Your surroundings is huge.
One of the things I say a lot, I don't like to say always or never when I'm talking about fishing because the fish will be wrong, right? So I said, but one thing I'm 100% sure of is bad fishermen don't like to fish alone. You always have a tendency to see a lot of bad fishermen in the same spot. That's what you said, right? There's one guy, let's go over there. Now there's 2 guys not catching them. Now there's 40 guys not catching them, but they're all together. So everybody's happy, right? So
hey, they all sit there and they bitch about not catching them together. I've heard that plenty in the fall because it's dead silent and quiet, and guys are like, nah, it sucks. And he's yelling at the other guy, it's horrible. We ain't catching crap. And I'm like, I'm leaving because you guys just all told me it's no good.
I've been there for an hour. I haven't marked any fish and haven't seen them. Well, then why have you been there for an hour?
Yep. Pay attention to what's going on. It's I need more cough drops. Sorry, folks. I keep coughing and coughing. Getting over this winter funk that's passing through everywhere. I'm seeing the MWT event still, right?
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's really fun.
And that's a hell of a little circuit they got there. It's not a little circuit, it's a big circuit.
Yeah, 150 boats in Detroit and 120 everywhere else just because of the capacity of some of the launches. Excuse me, and some really, really good anglers. Really good anglers. Some guys who stepped out of our circuit and went up and competed both at the MWC and the NWT level and done well. We've got a couple of MWT winners that are fishing. We got a couple of old PWT guys. A couple of PWT winners that have fished a couple tournaments with us the last couple of years. But yeah, really cool to see this group really develop. And we've got some great fisheries here in Michigan. We've kind of expanded where we're going. So like the Alpena bite, right? The Alpena, the Ascota area. Guys don't know that's on the east side of Michigan. about 3/4 of the way up on the west shore of Lake Huron, and it's open water, right? It's
It's
quick
very
access,
open.
80, 100, 120 feet. It used to be a salmon, steelhead, open water fishery, and now it's become a walleye fishery. And watching these guys dissect these big pieces of water very, very quickly and understand how these fish move. We had a tournament in Alpena last year, and there were guys fishing literally 2 miles from the launch, catching big baskets in 8 feet of water over the weeds, and guys that were 48 miles one way, 50 miles one way, out in 80 feet of water, jigging up walleye 60 feet down. So the complexity of where these guys fish is, other than Detroit River, they're fishing some really cool bodies of water, and they're figuring it out fairly fast. It's a good group of guys. It's really fun for me to be part of that again. I miss, that's the only thing I really miss about tournament fishing is the hanging out and the guys and, everybody doing what we do when we're on the road. So I get a chance to be part of that group. A lot of those guys have known me for a long time, so they know I've done this. And I know them, and I kind of get the chance to watch them come up. And obviously the Michigan Walleye Tour, without the Michigan Walleye Tour, I'm probably not here. I'm probably still working at the bank. That was where I got my start and got some credibility and got going. So I enjoy it. I love it. 5 tournaments a year, 4 tournaments and a championship. Really cool places we go to here in Michigan and get to watch some of the best anglers in the state compete and figure out. And guys know that I'm not going to say anything, so I get a lot of inside information as the tournament's going on. So my head gets filled with a lot of really cool stuff. So I become a better angler just watching and listening to these guys and seeing how they kind of handle situations. So it's really, really, I'm honored to be asked. I was honored to be asked 4 years ago when they first reached out. Big honor to be asked to do it. And I love every minute of it. Absolutely love every minute of doing it.
I've told that to people for years that if just you want to become a better angler, be fish tournaments. Tournaments will make win or lose. You're going to learn a ton, and just go into a weigh-in and just ask. Yes, walleye guys suck, for, communicating a lot of information, but there's typically a good reason for that, but not all of them. You come ask me after any tournament, I'll do everything. Hell, I might even give a GPS coordinates. I don't live there. I'm not coming back for a while, probably. Right. But it's also our job as pros to educate that public and to sell those products and tell you what's working and what's not working. Now take all that with a grain of salt, because sometimes you're being sold something that wasn't at all what was being used. So,
and I feel like, because number one, I've done this before. Number two, it's bodies of water that I usually have fish. I work really hard to ask the right questions. Right? Day one, I don't say too much. I might talk about, hey, weather coming in tomorrow. You got an idea what you're going to do. Day two, though, I don't let the guys I don't let them get off stage without asking them questions. And the questions that I want to know as an angler, right? Okay, how did you adjust to this? Or did the weather make it harder for your presentation? Or you switched presentations today. Why did you do that? So I try to ask these guys and gals. I shouldn't say it. We have a lot of female anglers. So I try to ask the anglers the questions I want to know as a fisherman to get better. What can I learn from these anglers? I try to ask those questions on stage, and I don't let them get off stage until they answer me. So the weigh-ins are live at Michigan Walleye Tour Facebook page, so you can see those. They're Saturdays and Sundays. They start at 3:00, and it's really cool to watch these good anglers adjust to the different conditions they have to adjust to. And again, being part of it is cool. Guys kind of accepted me as part of the group. I'm not fishing. I'm not really on the, they'd asked me to be the tournament director a couple of times. Don't want that job. I like my job. I like what I do. I get to go up there. I get to talk, which I love to do. I get to relay information from the anglers to the crowd. I get to give the anglers their props. And I try to I know most of the anglers that fish. I try not to let them get too cocky when they do well. And I try not to let them get too down when they don't, right? There's an art to that as the MC of knowing how hard these guys work, knowing how hard they work, and being somebody like you who's, put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days into just blood, sweat, and tears, and then you just have a bad first day. I know what that feels like. I 100% know what that come in that basket with one fish. You're like, oh, I know how that feels. I also know how it feels to bring a big basket in and have a great day. So being able to have lived that and being able to kind of make sure that those guys leave the stage feeling good about what they did that day, I think that's a little part of what I do. I hope that's why the guys like it. But I love doing it. I love being part of the tournament scene. I don't want to ever fish in our tournament again, but I love being part of the tournament scene And this is just a great group of anglers and a great club, Saginaw Bay Walleye Club, that puts it on. Just a great group of people. So if
Yeah,
anybody's
that goes.
in Michigan or thinking of tournament fishing, come on over.
That a good MC can make and break a whole tournament organization real quick, especially with the live streaming and the watching or television and stuff, and having that separate, obviously, from the director to the MC is pretty crucial, because the MC can get all the love, but the director gets all the hate always, and I hate to have that job as well. Those guys just don't get enough credit sometimes.
And I don't think you can do both jobs, because we had a situation a couple years ago. Early on Sunday, we had a scale issue. Okay, well, a couple of the anglers, I've seen so many baskets of fish, right? And I probably won more money guessing how big fish, the weight of a fish or the weight of a basket, than I've ever won tournament fishing, right? So we started to see these baskets, first 2 or 3 guys. I'm like, these aren't right. And the guys looking at me, I'm like, hang on to your fish and go back there. Just wait for a minute. And they got to the point where, like, okay, we have a problem with the scale. I saw enough different baskets to know that we were not getting as high a weights as we should be getting. And, now the tournament director has to handle that. So I'm on stage. I spent 15 minutes talking about the event and what we were doing, where the guys were fishing, and some techniques to think about while they're getting all this fixed. If I'm the tournament director, that live stream goes dead.
Yep.
Right? And there's no time to do it. And it's 2 different jobs. We have a great tournament director. We've had great tournament directors. We got a new one this year. But being the MC is really cool. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, NWT Jeff Kellum is stuck in both those roles, and we've expressed our concerns with that. And it's not his fault. It's just the way that business is organized. And but it's like I said, if there's an issue, it's hard to address it without leaving a blank screen, and he will, and that's exactly what happens. Is I got to go off stage and go handle this, or I'm going to handle it all after the fact. But according to rules, there's timelines, and that doesn't really work very well either.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you ever need an MC, I know a guy. So
yeah, I think we all know a few guys, so that's good. Good on you. You talk about Saginaw Bay a bit, and Huron, sounds like the fishing's getting better. I know it's been years since we were at Saginaw Bay, but I've only been there once, and I would gladly go back again. It's a long drive, but that's fine, because I could tell, I'm like, this fishery is good. The wind and weather up there sucks because of the way that system lays out, but you have the river and, the bay itself, but you had deep water, you got open water, you got weeds, rocks, boulders, river. Just the way the system laid out, I'm like, it seems to be like it was coming back. It seemed really healthy. There was a lot of fish. Is it just the trend? It's still moving that way?
Yes. I got it there all summer. So I'm usually up there the first week of June through end of August. And it's, our limit up there, because at one time we had a lot of small fish. Natural recruitment is off the charts. We have a all-time high population right now, and natural recruitment is just off the charts right now. So we went from 5 fish at 15 inches that's our traditional Michigan limit, is 5 fish, 15 inches. Saginaw Bay is 8 fish at 13 inches. Now, we don't catch a lot of 13 to 14 inch fish, but I guide on the bay on a 26-foot tri-tune, and so I usually have 6 people in the boat, and it's not uncommon to, in that 5 hours dock to dock, to get your 48 fish that are 16 to 24 inches. That's a very common occurrence. 25, 30 fish is I would tell you, that's kind of where we are every time we leave the dock, unless the weather goes to crap and the water gets really dirty. So the fishery is amazing, and there's a lot of good fish, in that 2 to 5 pound range. I fish the inner bay out of Linwood, so I fish the lower part of the bay. But as you move further north, the water gets a little bit deeper, and the fishing changes a little bit. And what we're seeing is we're starting to get natural recruitment up in places like Tawas, up in places like Ascota, up in places like Alpena, that we never really had natural recruitment before. We're starting to get natural recruitment up there, and those fish are getting bigger. So the inner bay is kind of those 1.5 to 4 pound fish. Every once in a while you get a 5, 6, 7 pounder occasionally at the right time. Everything works right. But if you want bigger fish, all you got to do is slide north, Augrey and north, and then kind of work your way east a little bit out in the water. And there's all kinds of 6, 7, 8 pound fish. 40, 45 pound baskets aren't uncommon for 5 fish when we start to fish Augrey, Tawas, Ascota, Alpena. That 38 to 42 pound number is very, very doable, and really honestly expected when we go to those parts. So tons of fish, great recruitment, above average growth, very, very healthy fish. And the thing that bothers me is, you get these many fish, how does the bait fish population suffer? We've got more bait fish than I've ever seen.
Really?
We have smelt starting to come back. We're getting a little bit of alewives back. We had four shiner hatches this year. We had four emerald shiner hatches this year, and that kept a lot of fish in the inner bay closer to me. So we've got everything you need. Saginaw Bay. If you've never been here, get here, because it's not uncommon for us in a day to fish 5-6 feet of water, pulling crankbaits over shallow weeds, heading out to 10, 12 feet of water, maybe pulling crankbaits on the bottom on rocks, to then moving out to 20, 25 feet of water and pulling lead core, 2 or 3 colors of lead core with spoons as the day winds down. So you may do 3 different things over the course of the day and catch fish doing all 3 of them. So very, very diverse fishery. If you obviously want to come and cast, that's easy to do. Very, very diverse fishery, lots of fish, and pretty easy fishing right now.
And clean. That is the cleanest water when you get north. What's the island up there again?
Charity Islands. Yeah, you get
Charity Island.
Charities. Yep.
I would not hesitate one bit to just drop a glass down in there and drink the water right out of that. I mean, I remember looking, I'm like, I can see, I got a 7-pounder on and I'm throwing 100 feet of light out and I can see it, and it's still 20-some feet deep.
We weren't up that far. We were in Augrey. We were south of, just a little south of the islands. We were out about 42 feet of water. And I let my charter guys do everything they want to do, right? So I'll do as much work as they want. If they want to do all the work, they can have at it. And we were out there. We had 4 or 5 days where we had no wind. It was just crystal clear. And his buddy's got this good-sized fish on, 6.5 pound fish. And the guy goes to net. I go ahead and net it. And he goes to net it. And he goes to get it. He missed it because the fish was 6.5 pounds.
Way down.
he just scooped at the top. I know, you got to go down there and get him. You got to go down and get him there, pal. Because you can see that far down.
Yep.
And not just, there's a wall. I mean, it looks like they're right next to you. So, yeah, you can get fooled by that clear water sometimes out there. And it does create some different fishing, right? We're starting to, move boards a lot further to the boats, away from the boats. Lead core and steel is a big deal where we fish now. Not necessarily to get baits deep, you can get the baits down where we need to get them, but we're getting smaller baits. We're starting to see smaller baits, especially in summer, becoming a lot better than bigger baits. So we're fishing a lot. I don't have anything here, but we're fishing a lot of like number 5 flicker shads is a great bait. Number 5 flicker minnows. Those types of baits become really popular. So you get a number 5 down, 15, 18 feet, you need 3 colors of lead, right? So, and that lead just stretches everything back behind the boat. So now that clear water doesn't become such a big deal. So yeah, it's really fun. My summertime is fun on that pontoon. A lot of people bring their kids. I get a lot of grandparents bringing their grandkids, which is really neat. You can let the little kids run. They're not tucked in a boat. They can move around a little bit. They've got a place to sit. Most of them usually take a nap by the time we're halfway through. They're safe inside the rails. You don't have to worry about them bouncing all over the place. And I can get, my normal spread with 6 people, but we're a 3-rod state. My normal spread is 16 rods, right? 7 offshore boards on each side and a down rod on each side. So we got 16 lures in the water. It can go from calm to chaos.
Chaos, big time.
Out there.
I run like 4 no matter what, maybe 5 rods. That's it. One of my guys runs a Ranger pontoon this last year, and I spent a little time with him on it, and I'm like, yeah, I could see one of these in the future for the guiding. It's just so much more room and comfy, and just the way I fish, I'm like, I don't think it'll work, but he does a lot of the same. I'm like, it's working just fine.
Yeah, that's so good, right?
Yeah,
guys, the comment I get a lot is, doesn't it get blown off? Of course, I'm like, okay, stop and think for a minute. Let's set up 6 traffic cones, and you got to weave in and out of those cones. Do that on a bicycle. That's fairly easy to do. Add a third wheel, create a tricycle, and try to turn that tricycle in that same. It's really hard to do with that third wheel. And that's what a tri-tune does. My boat basically has 3 28-foot keels on it.
Yep.
It's very hard to turn. I can quarter into waves, pretty good sized waves, quarter into them with my autopilot and never come off course all day. Whereas a regular boat, you'd constantly be, going side to side, or you need to, put a bag out. And I don't get the pitch that you get on a regular boat. I don't get this because I've got such a long base. It just kind of goes through. And running in the waves, you get 2-3 foot waves. I would rather be in a pontoon than any other boat I've ever been in. Any tournament boat I've ever been, I'd rather be in a pontoon because I can get on top. I'm up on top of those waves, kind of sliding through them, where everybody else is kind of going into them. So a lot of advantages. They're fun. We see a lot of them. There's 310 slips at the marina I'm at, and I think there's probably 100 pontoons, Angler Quest tri-tunes up there. A lot of guides fishing out of them now. So
Yeah.
just a really cool, safe platform. They're not the fastest boats in the world, but
Right.
for fishing, they're amazing.
Yeah, you don't need the speed. If it's a tournament boat, you're going to have something different. Obviously, Randy fishes tournaments out of his pontoon, but they're local and they're not going anywhere. It's 5-10 a mile type deal. And they still, he's got a 200 horse on that tri-tune, and the thing looks like it's going to go like this. I mean, he's cruising down the lake, and I'm just like, it looks like you're going to catch and just flip over because it's out of the water. But and he's only going to maybe 35.
Yeah,
40,
I run 200. I got a 200 Suzuki on mine, and myself and 6 customers. Just a normal day on Saginaw Bay, a little bit of a chop. I can run 34, 35.
Yeah.
I'm sure how much faster you need to go, right?
No, you don't. You don't. And the gas is you're just throwing dollar bills out. So let's just cruise.
Yeah, just taking their time and but Saginaw Bay. And obviously, if anybody wants to come over, all they gotta do is send us an email, and I'm more than happy to help anybody with anything. And if you haven't been to Saginaw Bay, now's the time to come. Fishing is, look, it's not a trophy fishery right now, but it's an amazing fishery with a lot of really, really good fish.
Yeah, I can definitely. It's been a while since I've been there, but I keep saying let's go back. And I know the NWT is going to Huron this year, and they had the championship up that way, and I'm not going there. But I'm like, if we were just to Saginaw Bay tournament, I'd be a little bit more prone to go there because I like that area. But when you mix in that whole deal, you're talking that's a pretty large, very large system.
Yeah.
A lot of water, a lot of clean water, a lot of deep water.
Right? You can make a 30, 35 mile run in the morning and be okay, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, at noon, you ain't getting back. And there is no place to go in between. You got to get back.
Yeah, not a lot of cover or shelter. I mean, Saginaw Bay is a bay, but there's like coves and stuff to get out of things like you have up here on the Missouri River or Skakawea. But
nope, not even close.
So Detroit River season is literally weeks away from kicking off. What's the go-to? What should people know? They need to contact you, obviously. You can get them out there, get them on it. You got a ton of resources. You have all the workshops or what you call them, on the Walleye Zone, the knowledge educational circuits, courses. Right there.
Yep. So Detroit River, I do 2 trips a day every day from basically the last weekend of March until Memorial Day weekend. So I'm there every day. It is, I think, one of the funnest fisheries to fish. I fished all over, right? And it's one of the funnest fisheries. If you do anything close to right, you're probably going to handle 20 to 25 fish in a 5-6 hour day if you pay any attention at all. I vertical jig. Guys are starting to cast now. Guys are starting to throw crankbaits now. I vertical jig, right? 3/4 ounce jigs in the front, ounce jigs in the back. We built a new 1.5 ounce jig this year because if you fish vertical, you know that sometimes the boat just drifts weird. You have the one guy who just can't find the bottom, right? When I started down there tournament fishing, it was 3/8 ounce jigs. Now I fish a 3/4 to keep the boat vertical. Everybody else fishes an ounce. Like I say, usually I have that one guy who needs an ounce and a half. But we still catch. We catch fish in 7 feet of water, an ounce and a half jigs, vertical jigging, right? These fish they're not scared. There's a ton of them there. About 15 to 20 million come in from Lake Erie. Plus you got the resident fish that are there. Obviously fishing changes depth wise over the course of the season and the day, but there are so many fish there. It's not even funny. Lots of really good launches. Just a fantastic fishery. Most guys come too early. If I had to give anybody a piece of advice, you're going to come to Detroit. Most guys come too early. Obviously you've got a little window where you got a chance to catch really, really big fish. That's usually April 10th to April 20th. That's kind of the range with the focus on wherever the new moon or full moon falls inside that window. And that's 40 years of data telling me that. So April 10th, April 20th. But if you want good fishing, if you want to fish in fairly good weather, not a lot of people on the river, less people than normal on the river, and catch 40, 50, 2 to 8 pound walleye a day, come in May. Come in May. Second, third week of May is unbelievable. There are days I fish. I launch right in the middle of the river. I fish the bottom part of the river as the season goes on. There's fish coming in and out of Lake Erie down at that end. It takes me longer most days to run the 15 miles down and the 15 miles back. Some days it takes me longer to make those 2 runs back and forth than it does to catch my 24 fish. Fishing is amazing in May. You get there second, third week of May, fourth week of May into Memorial Day. It's not uncommon for 4 guys in a boat, 3 guys in a boat that really know what they're doing in 5-6 hours before lunch, handle 100 walleyes. And I don't mean walleyes. I mean 2 to 6 pound walleyes. Good legit walleyes. So if you're going to come, don't get all caught up in the trophy thing, because the trophy thing, as you know, the trophy thing counts on so many factors you can't control.
No.
Watercolor gets bad, the wind gets bad, watercolor goes dirty. Those fish are still spawning, but you ain't catching them.
Yep.
By the time early May sets in, the weather's settled in, the water's gotten warmer, the fish are mostly post-spawn. We still do have some pre-spawn. We caught a 12.5-pound pre-spawn fish last year on May 17th. So there are still good-sized pre-spawn fish in the river that time of year. But once that post-spawn sets in and those fish are there, they stay for 3, 4, 5 weeks, and they are very easy to catch, very hungry, very aggressive. In big pods, you find one, you're going to find a bunch, and they're pretty simple to catch.
Yeah, that March, you could really hit some cold water
Yep.
and dirty water, and there could not be a worse combination.
You're not going to catch in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So my guys that tell me they want to catch a big one, they come, late March, first couple days of April, or almost always, I just want to catch a big one. And my caveat is, I'm not promising you anything. I'm going to promise.
right.
That's what you want to do. That's what we're going to. Don't tell me 11 o'clock when we quit at noon that, well, hey, this didn't work. Let's go catch a bunch of fish. That ain't going to happen. If we're going to do that, that's what we're going to do. And I'm okay doing that. I will take you to the best spots I know and put you in the best opportunity to catch the big one. But don't expect me to save your trip at 11:30 if that's what we're going to do in the morning, right? So, guys that travel to Detroit, I would say the biggest mistake they make, they come too early. Wait until third week of April and later, the fish should be a whole lot better.
We experienced that when NWT was there a few years ago into March, and it couldn't have hit it any worse.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And the problem is, the earlier you come and the colder the water is, the less bad things it takes to turn the fish off.
Yep. And
those fish get to post-spawn, they're hungry, there's a bunch of them. They may turn off for half a day, but they're back the next morning, they're rolling again. So but I do, if guys are interested in coming, hop over to the Walleye Zone. I do a live fishing report every night at 9 o'clock. I hop in my truck, I head back to my house that I rent, and I do a live fishing report every night at 9 o'clock. Here's what I did, here's what worked, here's what didn't work, here's where I fished, here's how deep I fished, here's what I caught. Look, there's enough fish there, everybody can catch them. So if you're coming to the Detroit River, get on the Walleye Zone and pop in. We got a little section that's just, I think it's everything Detroit. And we do fishing reports every single night. We'll start, I think this year, March 28th, we'll start. Every day we do a fishing report at 9 o'clock at night of everything I did that day. So there's no reason for you to ever come to the Detroit River and not be prepared and know what's going on, because I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to hide anything from you. This is what we did. Come over here and have fun. I love watching guys next to me catch fish. I absolutely get a kick out of it, right? So I'm okay. And if you know how to control your boat, we can all fish together. We can fish within 5 lengths of each other. If you know how to control your boat,
if you know how,
we can all fish together.
we can all get along.
We all talk and have a good time. So, no reason to come to Detroit and not. And if you've never been, hop on the Walleye Zone. We have a paid course. It's called Detroit River. It's called the Ultimate Detroit River Course. And it's 4 hours of information, what I'm doing live this weekend at Outdoorama. But we talk about how fish come in the river, how they migrate, different spots. So everything you need to be successful is all there in that course. So if you need Detroit River information, reach out, send us an email. I'll be more than happy to get you dialed in.
Well, there you go, folks. If you go to Detroit and you suck, it is on you. It is your own fault, because Lance has given you all the tools. Head over to the Walleye Zone. Check it out. It's all there. It's on you if you don't take it in and learn from it. So we've been on here for a little while. Let's wrap this up. Let's leave all these guys with another nugget. One special little thing you can think of to besides joining the Walleye Zone to help them on their angling journey.
Obviously, that's the thing. I would say I'm going to go back to something we talked about earlier. Learn your electronics and understand that being in the right place is so much more important than what you got. I would tell guys this: if you have enough fishing stuff, stop. You have enough. Just stop. Take the time to learn how to read your electronics, understand what game fish look like versus bait fish, understand what feeding fish look like versus resting fish, and don't put a lure in the water until you know a fish is going to see it. The wrong lure in front of a fish is a lot better than the right lure in front of no fish. Spend more time on the where and stop worrying about the what. The what will figure itself out if you're in the right where. Worry about the where before you worry about the what. Do that this year. Focus on not putting a lure in the water until you know there's fish that are going to be there to see it. I promise you're going to catch more fish.
You couldn't said it any better. You can't catch them if they're not there, and you can't catch them on the couch, folks. So
there you go, man.
Give old Captain Lance a call. And if you're headed to the Detroit or Saginaw Bay area, he will get you on some fish. And check out the walleyeZone.com. We'll drop a link below and follow along on their social pages. Lance, where can everybody else find you? I know you got quite a few little pages out there.
Yeah, walleye101.com is kind of our splash page website. So on walleye101.com, there's a link to the Walleye Zone. There's a link to our store, a link to my charter site, and then teaching fishing right now. That's going to change here in a second, but actually, I'm going to send you here. The Walleye 101 Educational Forum on Facebook is a place to find all of our stuff. So the Walleye 101 Educational Forum, find that on Facebook. We're pretty active there. We share a lot of our stuff on the Walleye Zone over there with links to go get it. But that's where we kind of interact with all of our anglers, answer questions, and take care of any business guys need. And look, you've known me for a long time. I am always available to answer fishing questions. I know a lot of guys say that this is my life. This is how I make my living. I get up every morning. I have one goal. That's to make somebody else a better fisherman that day. So don't ever hesitate to reach out. Email is the best, walleye101@gmail.com. Don't ever hesitate to reach out and say, hey, I got a question. I got a problem. I'm coming over here. Always willing to help another angler. That's one of the things that I'm so lucky I get to do every single day. So appreciate you having me on. We've shared a lot of your podcasts with our group at the Walleye Zone. Love what you guys do, and appreciate the invite to be on.
You bet, and that's what makes Lance the class act and why he's on here, folks, because he is sharing info, and there's not a lot of guys like that out there anymore. So we thank you a ton, buddy, and keep that up. And I hope to get up there sooner than later, and maybe get up there even late this spring and shoot some video or something on Detroit River. I'd love to go there and not have to deal with ice built up on my boat for 4 days straight like last night. So it might be a little more fun.
Yeah.
As horrible as that tournament was, I was like, I still can't wait to come back.
Yeah, come in May. Come in May.
Yeah.
Come in May.
Yeah, May. Unfortunately, May is just when everything gets going really good down here, over here to the Dakotas as well. And you know how it is as a guide. We don't get to go fun fish. I mean, we fun fish every day in a sense, but we don't. It's like, what do when you do when you're not guiding? Well, you're on the water looking for the next bite for the next day, or if things change, or coming up with new techniques and new ways. It's what you do, right? We fish every day, trying to figure it out so that the client and the customer can have a good experience the following day. Because we're going to have tough days. I mean, that's just the way it is.
It happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, it happens. So, all right. Well, thank you a ton, Lance. And I thank all you for tuning in. We'll put a bunch of links below so you can go follow Lance and get hooked up and check out the Walleye Zone and stay informed and all great things. Detroit River, Lake Erie, Saginaw Bay, Lake St. Clair, the whole area up there. It's a fishing just phenomenon going on. Jump in, like you said, and now's the time. Get up there and take advantage of all that. So, all righty, folks, stay safe, and we will see you out there on the water.